AtraHasis Part 3. If you didn't watch Part 1 and 2, please go back and watch it. Like and subscribe. When the second year arrived, they had depleted the storehouse. When the third year arrived, the people's looks were changed by starvation. When the fourth year arrived, their upstanding bearing bowed, their well-set shoulders slouched. People went out in public hunched over. When the fifth year arrived, a daughter would eye her mother coming in. A mother would not even open the door to let her daughter in. A daughter would watch the scales at the sale of her mother. A mother would watch the scales at the sale of her daughter. When the sixth year arrived, they served up a daughter for a meal. They served up a son for food. Only one or two households were left. Their faces were covered with scabs like malt. People stayed alive by life. The thoughtful man AtraHasis kept his ear open to his master Ea. He would speak with his god, and his god Ea would speak with him. He left the door of his god, put his bed right beside the river, for even the canals were quite silent. Gap of about 25 lines. When the second year arrived, they had depleted the storehouse. When the third year had arrived, the people's looks were changed by starvation. When the fourth year had arrived, their upstanding bearing bowed, their well-set shoulders slouched. People went out in public, hunched over. When the fifth year arrived, a daughter would eye her mother coming in. A mother would not even open the door for her daughter. A daughter would watch the scales of her mother. A mother would watch the scales of her daughter. When the sixth year arrived, they served up a daughter for a meal. They served up a son for food. Only one or two houses were left. Their faces were covered with scabs. The people who stayed alive by life, they took a message, entered, and to the order of AtraHasis, saying, "How long?" Gap of about 36 lines. He, Alil, was furious with the Agigi. We, the great Anuna, all of us, agreed together on a plan. Anu and Adad were to guard above, and I was to guard the earth below, where Enki went. He was to undo the chain and set us free. He was to release, produce for the people. He was to exercise control by holding the balance. Alil made his voice heard and spoke to the vizier Nusku. Have the 50 Lamu heroes fetched for me. Have them brought to me in my presence. The 50 Lamu heroes were fetched for him. The warrior Alil addressed them. We, the great Anuna, all of us, agreed together on a plan. Anu and Adad were to guard above. I was to guard the earth below. Where you went, you were to undo the chain and set us free. You were to release produce for the people. You were to exercise control by holding the balance. The warrior Alil, gap of 34 lines. Adad made his rain pour down, filled the pasture land, and clouds veiled. Do not feed his people, and do not give Nisaba's corn, luxury for people to eat. Then the god grew anxious as he sat. In the god's assembly, worry gnawed at him. Enki grew anxious as he sat. In the god's assembly, worry gnawed at him. They were furious with each other, Enki and Enlil. We, the great Anuna, all of us, agreed together on a plan. Anu and Adad were to guard above. I was to guard earth below. There you were. You were to undo the chain and set us free. You were to release the produce for the people. You were to exercise control by holding the balance. The warrior Alil, gap of 30 lines. You imposed your loads on man. You bestowed noise on mankind. You slaughtered a god together with his intelligence. You must create a flood. It is indeed your power that shall be used against your people. You agreed to the wrong plan. Have it reversed. Let us make far-sighted Enki swear an oath. Enki made his voice heard and spoke to his brother gods. Why should you make me swear an oath? Why should I use my power against my people? The flood that you mentioned to me. What is it? I don't even know. Could I give birth to a flood? That is Elil's kind of work. Let him choose. Let Shulit and Hanish march ahead. Let Urkal pull out the mooring poles. Let Nintu march. Let him make their wares overflow. The assembly do not listen to. The gods gave an explicit command. Elil performed a bad deed to the people. AtraHasis made his voice heard and spoke to his master. 10 lines missing. AtraHasis made his voice heard and spoke to his master. Indicate to me the meaning of the dream. Let me find out his portent. Enki made his voice heard and spoke to his servant. You say I should find out in bed. Make sure you attend to this message I shall tell you. Wall, listen constantly to me. Reed Hut, make sure you attend to my words. Dismantle the house. Build a boat. Reject possessions and save living things. The boat that you build. Roof, if like the Apsu, so that the sun cannot see the inside of it. Make upper decks and lower decks. The tackle must be very strong. The bitumen strong to give strength. I shall make rain fall on you here, a wealth of birds, a hamper of fish. He opened the sand clock and filled it. He told him the sand needed for the flood was 7 nights' worth. AtraHasis received the message. He gathered the elders at his door. AtraHasis made his voice heard and spoke to the elders. My God is out of favor with your God. Enki and Elil have become angry with each other. They have driven me out of my house. Since I always stand in awe of Enki, he told me of this matter. I can no longer stay. I cannot set my foot on Enlil's territory. I must go down to the Absu and stay with my God. This is what he told me. The elders. The carpenter brought his axe. The reed worker brought his stone. A child brought bitumen. The poor fetched what they needed. 9 lines missing. Everything there was, pure ones, fat ones, he selected, put on board, the birds that fly in the sky, the cattle of the land, wild animals of open country. He put them on board. He invited his people to a feast. He put his family on board. They were eating, they were drinking, but he went in and out, could not stay still or rest on his haunches. His heart was breaking, and he was vomiting bile. The face of the weather changed. Adad bellowed from the clouds. When he, AtraHasis, heard his noise, bitumen was brought, and he sealed the door. While he was closing the door, Adad kept bellowing from the clouds. The winds were raging, even as he went up. Cut through the rope, he released the boat. 6 lines missing. Anzu was tearing at the sky with his talons. The land he broke, the flood came out. The Kasasu weapon went against the people like an army. No one could see anyone else. They could not be recognized in the catastrophe. The flood roared like a bull, like a wild ass screaming the winds. The darkness was total. There was no sun, like white sheep of the flood. The noise of the flood. Anu went berserk, the gods, his sons, before them. Her lips became encrusted with rime. The great gods, the Anuna, stayed parched and famished. The goddess watched and wept. Midwife of the gods, wise Mami, let daylight? Let it return, and however could I, in the assembly of the gods, have ordered such destruction with them? Elil was strong enough. Elil was strong enough to give a wicked order. Like Tiruru, he ought to have cancelled that wicked order. I heard their cry leveled at me, against myself, against my person, beyond my control. My offspring have become like white sheep. As for me, how am I to live in a house of bereavement? My noise has turned to silence. Could I go away, up to the sky, and live in the cloister? What was Anu's intention as decision-maker? It was his command that the gods, his sons, obeyed. He who did not deliberate, but sent the flood. He who gathered the people to catastrophe. Nintu was wailing. Would a true father have given birth to the rolling sea, so that they would clog the river like dragonflies? They are washed up like a raft on a bank. They are washed up like a raft on a bank. Open the country. I have seen and wept over them. Shall I ever finish the weeping? She wept and gave vent to her feelings. Nintu wept and fueled her passions. The gods wept with her for the country. She was sated with grief. She longed for beer in vain. Where she sat weeping, there the great gods sat too, but like sheep, could only fill their windpipes with bleating. Thirsty as they were, their lips discharged only with the rime of famine. For 7 days and 7 nights, the torrent, storm, and flood came. Gap of 58 lines. He put down, provided food. The gods smelt the fragrance, gathered like flies over the offering. When they had eaten the offering, Nintu got up and blamed them all. Whatever came over Anu, who makes the decisions? Did Elil dare to come for the smoke offering? Those two who did not deliberate, but sent the flood, gathered the people to catastrophe. You agreed the destruction. Now their bright faces after dark are dark forever. Then she went up to the big flies, which Anu had made, and declared before the gods, His grief is mine, my destiny goes with his. He must deliver me from evil, and appease me. Let me go out in the morning. Let these flies be lapis lazuli of my necklace, by which I may remember daily life forever. The warrior Elil spotted the boat. We, the great Anuna, all of us, agreed together on an oath. No form of life should have escaped. How did any man survive the catastrophe? Anu made his voice heard and spoke to the warrior Elil. Who but Enki would do this? He made sure that the reed had disclosed the order. Enki made his voice heard and spoke to the great gods. I did it in defiance of you. I made sure life was preserved. Exact your punishment from the sinner, and whoever contradicts your order. I have given vent to my feelings. Elil made his voice heard and spoke to far-sighted Enki. Come, summon Nintu, the womb goddess. Confer with each other in the assembly. Enki made his voice heard and spoke to the womb goddess Nintu. You are the womb goddess who decrees destinies to the people. Let 1/3 of them be. Let another 1/3 of them be. In addition, let there be 1/3 of the people. Among the people, the woman who gives birth yet does not give birth successfully. Let there be a demon among the people to snatch the baby from its mother's lap. Establish Ugubatu, Entu, Igitsu women. They shall be taboo, thus control childbirth. 34 lines missing. How we sent the flood, but a man survived the catastrophe. You are the controller of the gods. On your orders, the counselor of the gods. You are the counselor of the gods. On your orders, I created conflict. I let the Agigi listen to this song, in order to praise you, and let them record your greatness. I shall sing of the flood of all people. Listen. The end. Third tablet. When the gods instead of man. 390 lines. 3 tablets. So as you can tell, in this story, the gods become furious with mankind. This did not exist in the Enuma Elish, from which this story originates. This is the second story of Genesis that we'll be covering. And a lot has changed in 600 years since the Enuma Elish to this Babylonian version of creation. Lots of hatred and fear and disease is put into the story, and famine, and it's been changed a lot. So thank you so much for watching. Watch my next video about Adapa, the real Adam and Eve. Peace and love, everybody.